Damien Escobar in Jamaica, Queens, picked up his first violin. Like, how did that happen?
Music for me, like, has always been ingrained, you know, in my DNA. Like, I practiced that instrument for 7 hours a day, every day. I got home at like 3:30. My mom let me play until 10:30. I just played every day for 7 hours, and I got really good really quick. In my 22, 23-year career, I've never sung a note. I never sang a song. I never had a vocalist on my music. I've never wanted to take away from the instrument.
All right, here we are today. Joining us on the podcast, Damien Escobar, the visionary executive shaking up the ad world, and as global chief music officer of Havas and CEO of the newly launched sonic marketing agency Art of Sound. Damien is pioneering how brands leverage sound as a strategic asset. A two-time Emmy winner, Cannes jury chair, AMP Awards leader, the list goes on. And Damien combines his artistry, culture, and executive strategy to transform brand storytelling. Welcome to the Media Mindset Podcast, Damien Escobar. Yo, finally we got it on the books.
Yeah,
we got
it. Took a minute, we got it, man. I'm happy to be chatting with you.
No, I appreciate you being here because I think you have an incredible story, just in terms of, you know, the parallels that even you and I have being musicians and composers and understanding production and kind of where you came from as a creator and how you were able to kind of utilize that to have that trajectory that takes you from where you were as a creator to where you now are as an executive. So I don't know, give us kind of first start off with breaking down what your title is and what it means, and then we'll get into how it all started.
I mean, the title sounds fancy, right? You know, man, it's funny you asked that, right? Because I'm the first ever chief music officer in advertising, right?
Wow.
And marketing on this side. Few brands have them, right? Few brands have them. It's like Headspace has John Legend as a chief music officer, and somebody has but it's when you look at their roles versus mine, it's more what word am I looking for? It's more vanity, right? Like it's like when you do a partnership with a celeb and give them a creative director role. You know, it's more vanity.
You said that out loud.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. I mean, I've done some of those partnerships here, being on in the ad world, right? Like it's true, you know. But you look at the ones that's doing it right, like the Pharrells. You know, like Pharrell, you see what he's doing at Louis Vuitton, and a lot of folks don't know, but Kanye was an intern at Louis Vuitton before he launched before he launched the Yeezy brand. Yeah,
wait,
man.
Post music career, like during his music career.
This is when he was hot. This was like stronger Kanye, like when he dropped Stronger. Like this is like Kanye at his peak. He interned at Louis Vuitton because he wanted to learn the game, you know. And it's man, like
just on that thought, it's hard to understand that somebody with the perceived ego as Kanye West would be an intern anywhere post college dropout record.
That's right. That's
very interesting.
That is an absolute fact. This is the thing, man. Obviously, I'm not. Kanye has a different ego. I wouldn't even call it an ego at this point, right? I don't even know where Ye is. A lot of us don't know where Ye is right now. But there's something beautiful about being able to realize and come to the table with the mindset that I know absolutely nothing, because from that place you can learn. You know, like so for me. 5 years later, I started in marketing 5 years ago, but I've been in marketing my entire career as an artist, right? Like, let's take it back. Like, I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York, born and raised Jamaica, Queens, New York, right? Coming out of Jamaica, Queens, New York, you got Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature, Onyx, Lost Boys, you know, 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj. And then you got jazz, Marcus Miller, Ella Fitzgerald. You know, you got everything but a classical violinist. I was this young guy that played classical violin growing up in Jamaica, Queens. And to be able to do what I've been able to do with that in music, right? Like as a violinist, being able to carve out a lane as a violinist for 20 something years, sold millions of records, sold millions of concert tickets. And I still do that. I've been in marketing my whole life. So when people ask me like, how did this happen? I mean, it was parallel for me because I had a, it wasn't just about creating music. It was about creating story, right? It was about creating story. It was about building a brand story as an artist to go along with the music. The violin it wasn't a mainstream instrument. There was no internet when I launched my career as a violinist, right? So I've always understood how to create the right story and move people emotionally with sound. So when the opportunity came about to get into this side of the world, brand comms, it was just curiosity, and it was so serendipitous. You know, it was over COVID. And my story is just the power to pivot. That's it. Knowing when to pivot. You know, as an entrepreneur, you got to know, you got to be able to spot the trends before they happen. You got to be able to look at what everyone else is doing, and you have to move in an opposite direction. Now, it may take you a lot longer, but once you kind of break through it, it's yours. It belongs to you. You know, and that's what happened in this space, right? Like one of my clients was on Good Morning America because over COVID, I broke a lot of artists, a lot of talent through my company. So I had this blueprint for me as an artist that I applied to other talent, and I had the blueprint, right? Like I had the blueprint. So I was doing a day-to-day management for my client over COVID. Someone from a Havas agency reached out to have him a part of a campaign. I was a day-to-day manager at that time. It was COVID. I said, cool. I'm like, not a problem. One thing led to another thing. Me and this gentleman, then Rich Russo, he's at Arnold. He calls me out of the blue, and he's, you know, once he finds out what I do as an artist, he's just, you know, he's like, how come you didn't tell me you were an artist? I'm like, well, I'm not going to represent myself when I'm representing my artist. That's disingenuous, you know? So he kicks me out the blue, and he's like, I got something for you. And I'm thinking he has a commercial for me. I'm like, all right, game time. We got a commercial for me now. And then he was like, hey, man, what do you think about being my music director? And it caught me off guard because I've never had a traditional job, right? I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always kind of built my own brands and kind of wrote my own scripts and stories. And then I got curious, man. Like Tyson, I got really curious. I was like, you know, I haven't been able to license music for a decade. And I won, you know, Emmy Awards for music and TV shows, film. Phone stopped ringing. And I was like, I have an opportunity to go behind the scenes and see who are the folks that are saying, I want this in this campaign. So I said, look, it's COVID. I'm home anyway. Let me try it for 6 months. So reached back out to him, said, yeah, I'll freelance. You know, it was that intern mentality. I'm happy to do it because I want to learn. Like, I don't know. And I got in here and I realized how much of a show it was.
Okay, so what aspect of it stood out to you right away as it just not functioning properly?
There was no strategy applied to how music was utilized. Music was a last step. You know, and it's not saying that teams weren't coming up with great ideas for how to leverage music. It was just the lack of priority when looking at music. Yeah. And it blew my mind, you know, and it's, you gotta look at Havas. Havas as a whole has never had a traditional music department. Probably one of the only holding companies. So it's the traditional means of music and marketing, right? There's, you know, when it comes to music, there was no real process. There was, you know, you got your creative directors who I love. I love the CDs, you know, but it's one of those things where it's everybody's a music director. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's a music director. Everybody, you know, everyone has a POV, but it's only with music. You know, like the copywriters are not art directors. The strategists are not but everybody's a music director, right? So it's one of the things that's the most subjective. And I remember when I first started, I remember being really frustrated, and I was always so close to quitting because I'm like, I'm the most qualified person here to speak to music. And I had to learn, and it was the greatest lesson I've ever learned. I had to learn how to take what I had in my mind, even though I knew what I was thinking was going to land and it was right. I didn't quite understand how to translate it to ad world, right? So once I understood that, we got to the 6 months, And I could have left. I could have said, you know what, I'm out. Only thing I wanted to do, to be completely honest, I just wanted to license one of my songs in a spot.
That was your ulterior motive.
That is all I wanted to do.
But kudos to you. I just wanted to make this point for understanding that you saw an opportunity to get closer to the decision makers. And that's not something that everybody can see. I think that requires a bit of an entrepreneurial mind to see, to recognize the opportunity in front of them. And so you saw that and you were patient with it because you said, okay, I'm gonna show up as an intern. I'm gonna do this thing for 6 months and try it out and see how it goes. And then once you got there, you're like, oh, well, this is why I could potentially have a hard time getting my music in anything, because nobody is really making the decisions.
Dude, and it became deeper than me. Then I felt the responsibility to fix the system as a whole. So, got in there. Arnold was my first agency. Super grateful to Rich Russo, who's a CCO there, Claire Capisi, who's a president. They really gave me the keys and I said, look, guys, I'll stay on. And my 6 months was over. I said, I'll take a staff position because they wanted me to stay on. I'm like, you guys got to let me really do my thing because I understand where the white spaces are. And I want to be able to bring a new culture and process to our brand. So, did that. And then, slowly but surely my name started getting around in the network, Now I'm contributing to other agencies. And now I'm showing how music can be leveraged as a true piece of commerce and a differentiator for brands. And then that's how the role of Global Chief Music Officer came, because I was working in a network globally. So in that role, at the heart of it, I help brands how to understand how to leverage music as an asset, as a part of brand strategy, versus music just being the creative execution in the last step. Music is the greatest connector we have in the world, dude. Like there's nothing like sound in the world. And it's the thing that we take for granted most because it's naturally occurring around us. The only people that don't take the ability to hear for granted are people that once had it and lost it. Like they know what it's like to lose it. But it naturally occurs around us that you don't think about it. So what I've been successful in doing is taking music out of production and pulling music over to a different SOW for brands. Now, that changes the entire industry, right? Because traditionally, when we look at music departments, when we look at music and advertising, it's the first budget to get squashed, man. Like it's always, I see it in production. It's like, oh, we have an overage, let's pull from music. We have this, let's pull from music. As long as music stays within a production scope, it's never going to be something that's prioritized and leveraged. So I've been able to pull it out of production scopes and pulled into brand strategy. So that's where Art of Sound was born from. Art of Sound, first of a kind sonic marketing agency. We help brands find their voice, right? What does this brand sound like? And how do we leverage music in a more meaningful way? How do we leverage sound in a more meaningful way through different phases and stages to help a brand solve a problem, to reach consumers exactly where they are? I mean, look, who was it? Unilever. The CEO came out and said, I'm moving 50% of my media buy to social. I'm moving away from linear and I'm moving to social. That's game changing. And of course, it's Tyson, it's right place, right time. This model wouldn't have worked 5 years ago, but we see what the impact of social, we see the impact of influencer marketing, right? That used to be an add-on. In our campaigns, it used to be, we'll do, let's have social. Now social is the play. Influencer marketing is the play. Whereas linear was hero. Not anymore. And to be able to succeed on social, brands need clear sonic strategy. They need it. I mean, that's naturally occurring on these platforms. So it's really right place, right time.
And I agree with you 100%. And I think that's why I was excited about us getting to discuss this, is because I've said for years, between visual and audio, in a commercial, for example, you have an ad, it's comprised of the audio and the visual. Well, if the audio is 50% of what you're seeing, and that whole experience, that visceral experience for the consumer, why are we spending so much less time and effort forget about the money, because, it's not even about the money at this point.
Yep.
It's really about the attention. We spend so much time, and I've watched agencies labor over the directors, labor over director boards, which is all attributed to the visuals. And then at the last second, you're getting the call as the music vendor on, hey, we got this thing that we're doing. We've already picked directors. We've already done this. We've already done that. And now here's what we're going to do with music. And we have $12 for, something that's stock. It's 50% of the experience. And then here we have the editors trying to cut to something that is rhythmic so that there's a syncopation between the visuals and the audio. And we're thinking about music last. Shouldn't they be happening simultaneously? And I'll tell you, all the jobs that we've done at Grayson Music, doing, music for all these projects when it comes to, original music, scoring, etc. Anytime that we've done anything and we've been working in tandem with directors and editors and the agencies and everything in that process, the product always turns out better because there's a synergy from jump. Of course. So I 100% resonate with your thoughts around that. And I think you being a champion of understanding how important it is to have audio as not just an add-on, but a part of your strategy from jump is key and is crucial to kind of where things are going. And you're especially right, especially in the social space, because so much of social is driven by music. And the reason for that is it's culture.
Majority of it.
Right. And that is the other point that I'd love you to expand on, is the importance of culture and how music defines that. We'll get into that in a second, but I still want to go back all the way back to Damien Escobar in Jamaica, Queens, picked up his first violin. Like, how did that happen in the world of Tribe Called Quest? And then you decided you're going to pick up a violin.
That's right. Dude, I loved it. I was the youngest of 3 siblings, and we had it taken in 3rd grade. Right. So I was first introduced to it when I was 6?
That's young.
6 years old. Right. And but I couldn't play it because they were like, you're 6, you're going to break it. Right. So I had to wait my turn in line. So by the time I was 8, and you tell a 6-year-old, I tell my kids, they say they want to do something, they're going to want to do it more.
So that's your strategy with the kids?
It's just the way it works.
I love
Absolutely. I'm like, you want to, don't do it. If I really want you to do it, don't do it. Don't touch it. But I mean, look, it's human behavior, right? Like it's just what we want, the things we can't have. And violin was that for me. I was just completely consumed by this instrument that was so close to the voice, right? And I grew up listening to Whitney, to Motown, to funk, and then 80s pop. You know what I'm saying? Like when they were singing, and I couldn't sing. And I'm like, I heard this instrument, and I'm like, I'm gonna make that sing when it's my turn. And I picked it up in 3rd grade, and dude, I practiced that instrument for 7 hours a day, every day. I got home at 3:30, and my mom let me play until 10:30. I just played every day for 7 hours, and I got really good really quick. And then they said, my teacher said, you're unbelievable. I got some folks at Juilliard that I want you to meet. We didn't know what Juilliard was. So I'm like, I don't know, Juilliard. So we go to Juilliard on a Saturday, audition for this board. And they gave me a scholarship, and I was there
9 years old
at Juilliard, and it was
wow.
Yeah, man,
that's incredible.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So music for me, has always been ingrained, in my DNA. It's, then I was on the subways. I was busking on the subways when I was 9 years old, until things took off for my brother and I when I was about 17. So it was always about doing something alternative. In my 22, 23-year career, I've never sung a note. I've never sang a song. I never had a vocalist on my music. I've never wanted to take away from the instrument. At this point in my career, I can, because I'm a standalone artist, right? I can do it now. I can do these collaborations. But it was always so important for me, because I remember back in the day. You remember the violinist? She played with Twister and
Maria,
Kanye.
I think her name was.
Mary Ben-Ari.
Mary Ben-Ari.
Mary Ben-Ari.
I remember her.
I loved her, But when she dropped her album, as soon as I heard that, and I was a young artist, I'm like, there's no way that's going to work. Like, that model is never going to work. She's never going to be able to get all those artists with her to tour. How's she going to promote this album? I'm like, and I'm like, no, that's gimmicky. We got to take the long route, but it's going to be the more meaningful one. So that's what it's always been for me, dude. Like, it's always been see the opportunity and see the highest potential of that opportunity and work backwards. Who do I have to become to reach it? What
that's why the word visionary is in your intro. That's not normal thinking for most people, is to look that deep into the future. And I think you do. And I think that's why it's all making sense now as to where your mindset is coming when it comes to music and how it affects everything that we do in marketing. Okay, so you're like 9 years old, going with a scholarship at Juilliard. Like, where do you go from there? You start touring and stuff like that at a young age with your brother? Like, how did it work?
No. We was on the subway, dude, and he and I, we started performing together
What does
in 2003. By 2000.
Okay, so both of you, wow.
As well. Yeah, both of us. Yeah. We were in a group together for about 10 years. It was ridiculous. Like, we crossed it over. We won all the awards. We did all the shows. America's Got Talent. Like, we were I was out the hood when I was 20, 21, $1 million, millionaire. Like, it was ridiculous, and things, even, it was interesting because we worked so hard for it, but things came so fast that we didn't understand it, right? I tell people I've had like 4 dreams. I've had 4 lives in this one life that I've had so far. I'm serious, dude. Group disbanded, lost it all, and I had to restart my journey. I left my condo in Williamsburg. I went, bankrupt, all of it, welfare, like all of it, lost it all. Had a period of homelessness back in 2012, and it was homelessness by choice because I didn't want to go back home and tell everybody in my neighborhood that I wasn't successful anymore. That's the ego, that's pride. But went back home for a year and restarted all over as a solo artist. And by 2016, I was back to selling 2,000 tickets per night in a concert. Like, so I knew the blueprint. Yeah. I knew how to do it. And it's just one of those things. You got to see it, work backwards.
So back up to the lost it all. What do you think was the contributing factor to, quote, losing it all?
I mean, look, it's interesting because that period of my life, I look back now, what I lost was money, but what I gained was so much more, right? I gained so much more in that moment. It's one of those things where it's like things were happening for me and not to me. And a lot of times when we as people go through things, we're growing through it. But for us in that moment, we're going through it.
Good.
So, dude, for me at that point in my life, it was about what can the gift buy me versus what can it do for people. I'm a young kid from the hood, raised by a single mother. I wanted everything. I wanted the Ferraris. I wanted, you name it. I wanted my first
all the things you could never have, now you can have by snapping your fingers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, that's why Black people, the spending power is $1 trillion a year. It's because of that. We come from inner cities, we become successful, and then we give it right back. It's the financial literacy, unfortunately, in our communities. They don't instill that in us, right? So for me, it was that lack of financial literacy. You lose it. You just spend it, you lose it. So I lost it all, dude. And then, I had to reset, and it was the greatest moment in my life. Crazy story. My brother and I, we had a McDonald's commercial on the air, right? This was 2012. This is when I'm facing foreclosure. My then girlfriend, my son was just born. I'm collecting welfare. I'm like, damn, I gotta, I gotta take care of my family. Like, I just gotta humble myself and go get some money, from this welfare office. I'm sitting in that welfare office and I'm looking on the screen. This McDonald's commercial comes on TV, dude. And it was absolutely, in that moment, I realized, I'm like, like, this is what rock bottom feels like. And I got into real estate after that. After that, I got into real estate because I didn't want to play the violin anymore. I spent 10 years building something and it was all gone. I didn't have the confidence. I got into real estate. I did it for 3 months. I remember this moment changed my life, Tyson. I went to work late one day, and my supervisor, she looks at me and she says, I don't care who you used to be, but if you come here late again, don't come back anymore. And what really hit me hard wasn't being scolded for being late. It was the term used to be. And I remember sitting on a train going back to Jamaica, Queens, because I moved back home at that point. I'm like, damn, do I really want to be a used to be guy? Like, there's still so much more. And that day changed my life. And I called her a few years ago and thanked her because I left and she never heard from me again. But I thanked her for that because it really, it resonated with me so deep, man. And dude,
Wow.
journeys. I got journeys upon iterations upon iterations.
That's amazing feedback. And I think, you know, sitting in an executive position now, you know, this kind of bursts the responsibility for you to be that honest with the people that you're working with and who are working for you or working on something that you're working on.
Of course.
You know, because you never know when that moment is going to be the catalyst for somebody to change their life. And
Absolutely.
that is a powerful moment. You know, I think it was, I love Gary Vee just because he's just so passionate. But one of his quotes is, and I don't know if he got it from someone, is adversity is the thing that fuels success. And as you're telling your story, like that's the thing that really jumped out to me is that adversity is the thing that made you stand up and be like, no, I don't want to be the used to be guy. I want to be but you know, then framed in a different place, I think your motive now is not to have all the money so you can buy all the things again. Your motives now and your mission has changed. What would you say that is now? Like, what are, you know, your top 5 things that drive you today?
I actually only have one, right? And this is what fuels me. It's just like the catalyst for everything for me. Well, 2. The biggest for me is success for me used to look different. Success for me was about money, right? That was it. Like a lot of us, what can it buy me? But I learned that the greatest success is succession. It's being able to attain things and give it away, give it to people. Right? Like we're only here for a limited time. I'm 39. I tell people all the time, look, I probably got 39 summers left. Right? Like I am morbid to where I think about the end because in thinking about that, it helps me prioritize. Right? It's reality. We're not here forever. So I can't take this shit with me. Like what can I do to help people while I'm here? Whether that's me being on stage and playing in front of 10,000 people and I'm just healing them through sound, or I'm leveraging sound in a meaningful way to heal people through a $100 million media buy, right? How can I make this thing that I'm so passionate about? How can I put it on a largest scale as possible to help people? So for me, it's succession. And then when I have that, assemble an incredible team that I can pass this down to. Whether it be my kids, whether it be my staff that work for me here, whether it be my team that works for me on the music side. Like whoever I come across, what can I contribute to you versus what can you give me?
It's good. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so now you're at Arnold and you're doing your thing there, but now do things change? They ask you to come on board full time. What does that look like?
Yeah, it was, they asked me to come on board full time. I was happy to, very happy to come on board full time. And then everything opened up. The industry opened up again. Live tours opened up again. I signed a new record deal with Universal. So it was like, how am I going to juggle the two? But I couldn't give it up. It became this thing. It's just the thing, man. Being an artist is lonely. Like, I don't care what anyone says. It is a lonely thing. Like when you reach a certain point in your career, it's lonely. You know, it's you just work with your team, right? And then that's it. You're going to see the same people and everyone else kind of goes and they do their own thing. But you're in a studio, you're doing a record for 6 months out of the year. And then you got to tour that record. You know, like I missed being with people and being in advertising gave me that. So I couldn't do one without the other anymore because it was doing so much. Yeah, initially I was losing a tremendous amount of money focusing on advertising because, you know, you can't have two priorities. I was trying to juggle them both, but I had to choose. As I started to ascend more in marketing, I had to look at, okay, what are the long-term plans? And dude, that was tough. That was probably one of the toughest things I've ever had to do, was tell my team in music, literally coming off of having a #1 Billboard song in the country, #1, telling them I'm going to take the year off. They looked at me like I was like I have 5 heads. Like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah, I have. And this is when my role changed to chief music officer at Havas. When I was at Arnold, because I was only the music director at Arnold. Like I was, I would work, I could do the campaigns anywhere. Like I can do that on the road. I'm just listening to music. I'm reaching out to partners. I wasn't doing any client calls or anything like that.
Right.
I can do it in my sleep. Right. It was pretty basic for me. But when my role changed to more of a strategic advisor role, and then I had to start and grow a business, and I had my own P&L, everything changed. And I'm like, if I'm putting my name on it, it has to succeed. And I also recognize the shot that I have. Make no mistake, I am one of the few Black executives with a global C-suite role at any holding company, right? Like I understand the weight of that, in the fact that we don't get these opportunities.
Did that scare you in the beginning?
Absolutely not. Nothing scares me, like nothing at all. Like I felt the weight of it, but I'm used to pressure. I'm like, I understand the role that I have, and I understand what I'm setting up for people that look like me, right? Like, so I have to, I'm not only going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be one of the most impactful in history in doing it. So that's why I said I need to step away from music. I've done that for 20 something years. I understand the steps that God has put me in. I got to walk the path. This is not my journey to choose. This is already written for me, so I'm like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, so it's like, nah, you gotta go all the way in, dude. And that was it for me, man. So, I've been in the, people say I had the most what's that word? Meteoric rise in marketing history. I agree. I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, but this is 20 something years later, right? This was parallel for me. This was, I've been doing this, right? I just been doing it with my money. Now I'm doing it with other people's money.
This is the difference. But I think that does bring a certain level of fearlessness, right? Because it's hard once you've been busking the New York City subway line at age 7. It's hard to be scared of anything after that because you've seen a lot, you've been around a lot, and you've been through a lot. And I think also you have the unfair advantage of touring the world, right? Like it makes sense that you can be the global head of something if you've been around the world. Right. So it's not a far, like you always say, it's parallel. It truly is, because you have a lot of things that you've already experienced. I think those are the things that people don't see. You want to talk about a meteoric rise because, it seems like it came out of nowhere for the rest of the world. But it's the same with celebrity. It's like, yo, where did this amazing actor come from? And then when you actually do the deep dive, you realize that, they've been doing this.
Been here.
Right.
Been doing this. Exactly. No, dude, it was without a doubt, entrepreneurship, managing a P&L. I've done it. I've launched very successful companies in the past. I've launched a lot of artists, I've done it, so for me, there could not have been a more, parallel leap for me to just come on and do it on this side.
And what are you finding is the most challenging part with your mission? Your mission is for people to understand the importance of music with their brand. What are you finding is the most challenging part of carrying that mission forward?
I wouldn't say challenging at this stage. Previously, it was just taboo. It was taboo, like, music as what? Music as the hero. And then you just like the marketing industry is just like the record business. You're just in the record business, you're one hit away. The marketing business, you're just one case study away. So you can have all these ideas, and a lot of what we do here is all assumptions, right? And we try our best to quantify it with data. But I like to tell people all the time, they say, the most common thing you'll hear about music here is music is subjective. I'm like, no, it's only subjective until it works, right? It's not subjective. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And you have to trust your partners, right? We're the subject matter experts. And the thing is, it used to be so difficult for me because I didn't know how to quantify what I was thinking. And now there's so much data, like the way we're able to quantify things, like with the agency I lead, Art of Sound, we're able to quantify our assumptions, and that's all brands need. Brands just need to be able to see the data. What does the data say? What does the strategy say? Right? And we lean heavily in on sonic strategy. What does the strategy say? Right? A lot of times where people, they'll sit there, if, for example, if I know, let's just throw out, I don't know, let's say the Tyson brand, right? The Tyson brand, let's say your brand over indexes 28 to 35, right? Hispanic, cool. Okay, why am I then gonna go put on the film, why am I gonna let a creative director then go and put a, let's say, a Kumo D track on it, on your spot, right? Like it's when we think about strategy, like I know what's going to resonate with the end user. I know who you're talking to. I know what they're listening to. I know their behaviors. So once we started to quantify the assumptions with real data and we start to test brand attributes, like we lean so deep into the sonic DNA that it's foolproof. And we know it's going to work because the data tells us it's going to work. One thing we know how to do well is find great music. But the biggest difference is being able to back that up. Because if you can back something up and you start to get those cases, it's over. Brands are just like, I want this because brands need it. You can't be a brand in 2025 and not have sonic strategy. You will not win the race. The goal is to age your brand down. Brands are aging out. You have to age down. Meet people exactly where they are, and they will continue to show up. And it's so important to co-create with your audience. These are the things we push to brands, and they understand it. Once it takes a little bit, but once they get there,
I was going to say a lot of it is education. I find like my job a lot of the time is not trying to convince somebody about which way to go with something that is a subjective opinion. My job is to inform them with all the data that they need to make an informed decision that aligns with their strategy.
That's right.
And so I find, I've said this before, maybe I've said on the podcast, other people have named me the client whisperer. And it's like, I don't do anything magical when I have a conversation to try to trick clients into going a specific direction with music. What I pride myself in is being very clear and giving a concise strategy, not based on hypothesis, but exactly what you're talking about, data. Here's why we think this is the right approach for music and how it aligns with your strategy and your brand, right? And I think that's the key. Like anybody can like a certain amount of music. And I think that's probably why, as you said earlier, everybody thinks that they're an expert on music because it's the most widely enjoyed, art form for people to do. And it's easily accessible, right? So there are many ways to consume sound, and a lot of it happens without you even having to do anything. You walk into a store, there's music playing.
That's right.
You go into a restaurant, there's music playing. You jump in a rental car, there's something on the radio. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere,
right?
dude.
Just like your eyes. Your eyes are everywhere. You're always consuming something visually of some sort. And so I think it's our job as, the purveyors of music and also culture is being able to properly articulate how it works with culture, how it aligns with the brand, and how it also is cohesive with the strategy. And that's, I think, what the biggest challenge has been for me, is just getting the opportunity to do that. But if you're at the end of the line after the director's already been picked, the spot's been shot, and
forget about it.
It's like, okay,
it's too late.
You're painting me into this corner. Sure, we can do it and we can execute, but how much better would the execution be had we all got together earlier to carry on this journey of strategy together as a team, So
and they don't want to hear about it. That's the problem, right? They don't. By that time, they don't want to hear it. And my rule of thumb is, if it don't reach out to me or my team at that point. Go, you got it, right? And I think we as an industry, with me being here now for 5 years, when I think about our partners, right, like you guys, the vendors, and I know a lot. It's a very small, very, very small industry. I think we've done ourselves a disservice over the years. right? And there's an opportunity to rechart that course, right? Like anything, I tell my daughter all the time, she's 18, she's going to college. Folks won't treat you in any kind of way that you don't let them, right? That's it. We as an industry, when it comes to music, there is this, we need a now culture that's been established, right? Like in our industry, it's just like speed wins, volume wins. And that's what everyone is used to. Now, with me coming into this space, especially at Havas, right? And my role touches global. It's been a lot of pain points in trying to undo that mentality with producers, executive producers, creative directors, etc. To where now we're able to pull in partners early because we're literally there during brand planning. We're there getting, briefed when creative directors are being briefed. It's a collaborative thing to when we pull partners in, everyone's there at the same time. I say that to say it's okay to say no, right? Like in saying no, it preserves a value for the art form. Like saying no today, and you may lose one job, but it's going to equal a better line of jobs down the line where we can actually, as an industry, a music and advertising industry, really start to move forward. Like I'm doing everything I can on my end, but I'm just one guy, and I sit at one group. I sit at Havas. I don't work with the Omnicoms and the Publicists and all these guys, so it's so important that there's strength in numbers. You know what I'm saying? And we as an organization, a music and advertising organization, have to look at what we're contributing to the chaos and then make a point decisively. And it's not like the record business. Record business, we can never come together and do some shit like this. Like there's not even a union for the record business. It's awful. But in advertising music, it's a community. And there's really an opportunity here to move as one singular voice. And then that is where we start to collectively get to the work that works, to where we start to see music more intentional, more prioritized. We see the brands that are doing it well, and we see why they're doing it well. So it's something I think about all the time. I can't even announce, I'm gonna be a chair of another show soon. And that's gonna be one of the biggest voice talking points I'm gonna have, right? Like, help me help us.
And so,
you know what I'm saying?
Like a lot of what you're saying has to do with putting more value on music. So what does now the introduction of AI do for the value of music in your mind, and how do you see that moving forward in the future?
I don't like it, right? Like I was a juror for the Lions just this past summer. And the biggest thing in the room, and I can debate all day long, was an amazing experience. My fellow jurors were unbelievable. And the thing we unified on was that we were not going to put an AI-driven idea up for Lion, right? And it's something that, it was a statement that needed to be made. And I had to remind them, I'm like, guys, please understand, I sit at agency. If we put this through for a Lion, then all of my brands are gonna want this. And what that does for you is makes you guys redundant. If we do that, original music dies in that respect, So I'm like, that'll cripple the industry, So what I think about AI, I think AI is really cool to have as a tool in the room. Like if you're using AI to help write an idea, cool, but AI can't be the idea. AI doesn't have soul. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it can come up with some cool as a thought starter, and not to mention all the regulations around copyright. Like we'll never really be able to use it here in North America because of copyright law. But I'm sure they're going to start moving around that stuff. But what do I think about it? I think when it comes to music, it's great as a writing partner to have in the room if you need it, but it can't be the foundational idea. I think we're losing integrity, and I like doing things with integrity. Like I think, AI can get you to scale, but I think when you can hear and feel the music that has soul, like it connects with you or resonates with you. Not saying that AI can't produce that. Sure, with some prompts it can, but it hasn't gotten there yet. But I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's going to get there. But we as an industry need to be, that's on us. You know what I'm saying? Like I know brands. Like I know brands very well. I have a lot of direct clients that I work with day to day.
Yeah.
They don't know. You know, like they won't know. So it's whether or not we as an industry leverage it. We as a music community are leveraging it and selling it as a solution just to get brands to be intrigued by music. It's this kind of mindset that I'm seeing that, well, they're going to do it anyway, so I might as well be the one selling it to them. I'm like, yeah, they said that about crack in the 80s too. Look what look what that got us. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
That's good.
you know, we got to be strategic about
I'm definitely
this,
with you
So
on
it's,
the mentality of using it as a tool. I think the problem lies in the people who are happy enough with just letting it do everything and not thinking and not being the curators of what comes out at the end. And that's the danger. And what we're finding now, like our colleagues and I, we have like a whole AI Slack channel that we just, hey, anything new that pops up, let's have a discussion about it and let's, get our thoughts. One of the things that's coming up a lot, especially with the younger generation, funny enough, is that they look at anything AI and they dismiss it right away as like, it's fascinating because I didn't expect that to be the response.
You see what's happening with Timbaland, right?
Yes, exactly.
Timbo just dropped. Nobody gave two about that AI artist he released.
Backfired.
It backfired.
And what did everybody do? The person whose music he uploaded, they all rallied behind that person, said, we want the real.
That's correct.
If anything, it's giving me more hope where it's like the consumers are rejecting AI slop. The real enthusiasts of music, they want to know the story behind the creator. They don't want to be duped by the robot that they, created some viral thing that made them laugh or made them like nod their head and tap their foot. Cool, you got me for a moment, but there's this sense of, oh, wait a second, I've been duped by AI? Nah, bro, I don't like it. All the senior citizen, like the older people who are getting stuff and they're sending stuff to their younger generation people and they're like, did you see this? Grandma, that's AI. And then grandma's disappointed in the fact that she got duped again and she's like, ah. Right? So I think that there's a potential now for the value to increase on the authentic stuff, right? Authenticity is going to start to get the higher value proposition for the consumer and hopefully for the brands.
But it has to happen at the same time, right? Because to your point, we have to continue to raise the rationale of music, right? Of sonic strategy. I understand what you're saying. AI is going to phase itself out when it comes to music. You can't sell fake ideas. It's not going to work. Not to today's consumers who have the most buying power. But if both can happen in tandem, right? Like you, on one side, you're raising a rationale with music with brands, et cetera, yada, yada. And on the other side, it's like we know that their audiences, because brands are only going to do what the audience is asking for, right? If audiences want these authentic moments, right? It's all going to kind of converge at the same time. And that's what's important. Because if AI continues to do what it's doing, the only thing that's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be made redundant from the agency side and even from the music vendor side. Brands are just going to start pulling these capabilities in-house. Oh, I can have AI do this for me. I can have, cool, I don't need it. Let me keep that money. Let me just hire Joe Schmo off the street to put some prompts in and give me some music for my spots. That's what's going to happen, dude. I sit internal at an agency. I see it all.
If you could pick one musical experience that instantly defined a brand, what would it be?
Wow. You caught me.
It could be historical. Me. It could be from your childhood. It could be from...
There's so many. Come on, like, come on. Look at Band-Aid, the Band-Aid song, right? Like there's so many. Band-Aid song, it was massive. I mean, look, any brand that had a jingle from when we were growing up defined that brand, right? Stanley Steamer, right? Stanley Steamer. There's gonna be an announcement about Stanley coming out. Shout out to my crew. There's so many, but I would say one that I really love, and we gave them a line. I love what they did. It was adapted music. It was the Hey Jude spot for Adidas.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah, we argued for hours about that spot in the jury room for the Lions. That was unbelievable. Like that song for that spot, what it did for Adidas, it was smart. That every time I hear that piece of music now, I think
Funny
it did
you say that.
right?
I
So
was saying the same
did
thing.
what it had.
I was on
It did what it
a
had to do.
jury. I think it was one show we did this year, and people were either of like, that was amazing, or I think that was lazy. And I was like, no, but every time I hear that song now, I think of the brand. I mean, when you talk about strategy and you talk about a song that size
Yep.
and the Beatles catalog now
Brilliant.
being available, like
Brilliant.
there's a lot there, people. Come on. And nobody was with me on that one. I should have yelled harder. But, you know, I guess the vindication for me is that they got a lion. But you're absolutely right. Like, it's those songs. I mean, I remember growing up and I didn't recognize that the songs that were in these commercials were real songs. To me, like, that was a time when I didn't even recognize licensing was a thing. I didn't even know. I heard Chevy's Like a Rock. I just thought that was the song that went with the
Damn,
right?
That was my childhood.
I just thought that was the song that went with the truck. For years, I would sing that. I was like, oh yeah, it's like the Chevy commercial. I didn't know that was an actual song and artist. It just wasn't my world. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's bang on. Like, I hear that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the truck. So
that's crazy.
But that right there is the power of song and music and melody and lyric, right? I had this one, I tell this story a lot because it really impacted me. I had this one publishing guy in Canada. He's moved on from EMI. He was at EMI at the time. And I remember I was in there playing him some songs and he's like, you know, I really like the song. But, you know, one thing that I always use as my litmus test for songs is, does it have a lyrical hook, a melodic hook, and a rhythmic hook? I carry those that changed my life. I carry those with me for everything I do now.
That's a nice
right?
recipe.
And
That's
so
a nice
I look
recipe.
back at the things that do that. All the jingles that we've known from the past, all the viral songs, the TikTok things that have popped up, anything right now, and you kind of go back and analyze the things that are successful. It's that lyrical hook, the rhythmic hook, the melodic hook. And I think if we can leverage those in our ads, we just further increase the opportunity for the brand to get attention. And we need to do that more. And I think we need to strategize more with that, with music. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart as a music creator and vendor for taking the torch and, you know, making it part of your responsibility and your mission to really have brands align with understanding the power of music and what they're doing and what we're all doing, and that you want to keep it authentic and keep it real. And dude, I can see the passion in you. I can see the passion in your posts on LinkedIn, and these next few things that you're going to be speaking at, you know, I'll be right there behind you, championing you with my take on this whole thing. And so, bro, thank you so much for spending time on the show and giving us your wisdom and your history. Absolutely. And I just love that you're now in advertising, championing it for the rest of us. So appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Good to see you.
That was awesome.